Also on Tuesday, President R. Marcos Jr. praised the country's first grid-connected, utility-scale solar rooftop installation erected within a socialized housing complex in Cavite province, describing it as a standard for the country's expedited transition to renewable energy. President Marcos visited the 6.55-megawatt peak, or MWP, Ningning Solar Rooftop Power Facility in Pasinayan Homes Prime Central, or PHPC, created by the Joy Nostalg Group, Gin Navita Solaris Incorporated, or Solaris, and Raimulan Lands Incorporated. The facility taps the rooftops of 1,986 residences, each with 6 solar panels. According to President Marcos, this initiative is the world's first grid-connected solar power system located within a communal housing neighborhood. The project is consistent with the Department of Energy, or DOE's, goals for the Green Energy Auction Program, or GAIA-4, the Renewable Portfolio Standards, and the Sustainable Finance Framework, all of which increase the renewable percentage of the national energy mix. The Philippines aims to achieve 35% renewable energy by 2030 and 50% by 2040. President Marcos noted that the project exemplifies the creative and innovative solutions needed as the country confronts climate concerns and the global shift away from fossil fuels. The chief executive also pledged to improve government processes to encourage more renewable investment.
It's an initiative that is a monumental one as it lights up homes and the path forward to the country's energy transition. Solaris and Raimulan Lands have done something quite remarkable. They adopt renewable technology innovations right here on the rooftops of Filipino families here in Naik. Halos 2,000 tahanan ang kasama sa proyektong ito. Bawat isa sa kanila ay pinagkukunan ng malinis na enerhiya dahil sa mga solar panel na nakalagay sa kanilang mga bubong. Ito po ang kaunahang grid-connected, utility-scale solar project sa buong mundo na matatagpuan sa isang socialized housing community. Higit pang nakakahanga ang Ningning Project. Hindi lang solar technology ang hatid nito sa atin, nagbibigay din ng suporta at ng kita dito sa mga nakatira dito. Gamit ang bahagi ng kita rito, matutustusan ang pag-aayos ng bubong ng mga bahay, mga panatiling bukas ang ilaw at kalsada, mapapatupad ang maayos sa pamahala sa basura at magkakaroon ng shared solar facility at iba't ibang training para sa mga residente. In other words, the energy that we produce here will power a better life for the people who live in this community, but even beyond this community. Because although there are advantages, there are benefits to those living in this community, there is also the benefit to the grid because you are providing additional power, which we all know is something that we need. Dahil gamit natin ang mga bubong ng mga bahay na naitayo na, walang ginamit na farmland. Walang tinanggal na kabuhayan at walang nasayang na lupa.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. challenged local government units, or LGUs, on Wednesday to improve transparency and participatory governance, underlining that public trust builds when people can plainly see how taxpayer-funded initiatives are carried out. President Marcos spoke at the Subaybayani Awards 2025 at the Manila Hotel, emphasizing the significance of transparency in all government programs and projects to prevent corruption, as well as the need for high standards in public service delivery. The President noted that when the public has access to government procedures, they become more empowered as our partners in promoting accountability. President Marcos pointed out that the newly opened Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, Transparency Portal, which strives to ensure that infrastructure projects are visible, examined, monitored, and useful to the community. The Transparency Portal allowed the public to watch every phase of infrastructure project implementation, from purchase to foundation laying to utilization. During the occasion, President Marcos recognized 126 LGUs, 9 top overall performers, and 3 Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG regional offices, for their exceptional collaboration and evidence-based monitoring. The President instructed the honorees to maintain high standards.
Tandaan natin na ang mamamayang Pilipino ay nagmamasid at may karapatang pumuna. At tayong mga nasa gobyerno, ang tagapanday at tagahatid ng tunay at maaasahan na serbisyo, continue to show that the public can trust and rely on their public servants. High quality remains our standard. A government worthy of its people does not settle for mediocrity, does not cut corners, does not waver. We strive for excellence because that is what our citizens deserve, and that is what our country deserves. So let us prove that when the public has access to government processes, they become more empowered as our partners in promoting accountability. That is why, and I say this with my as a firm belief, we must further strengthen and open and participative governance at all levels.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacanang.
Also on Wednesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced that the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, and the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, will present evidence to the Ombudsman recommending the filing of plunder, graft, bribery, and conflict of interest cases against 8 lawmakers allegedly involved in irregular flood control projects. In his most recent public report on the government's ongoing flood control probe, President Marcos said that the investigation had revealed lawmakers who reportedly own construction companies with contracts in districts that they control. The President, however, chose not to disclose the lawmakers' names. President Marcos has been providing frequent updates on the nationwide flood control audit in response to complaints about overpriced contracts, anomalous procurement, and ghost projects. The study focuses on billions of dollars in public works projects that have been implemented over several years in multiple regions. President Marcos further said that the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, has issued 2 freeze orders totaling around 12 billion pesos in assets thought to be tied to anomalous contracts. These include aircraft valued at approximately 4 billion pesos, 3,566 bank accounts, 198 insurance policies, 247 automobiles, 178 real estate assets, and 16 e-wallet accounts. The chief executive emphasized the goal of recovering public revenues lost due to corruption.
Yung AMLAC, yung Anti-Money Laundering Council, nakakuha na po ng 2 freeze order. This brings the total amount of assets frozen to about 12 billion pesos. Kasama po dito ang mga air asset ni Saldico, ang value mga 4 billion. At bukod pa ron, meron po tayong nakuhang 3,566 na bank account, 198 insurance policies, 247 motor vehicles, 178 real properties, 16 na e-wallet account, at saka air asset na frozen na. Umpisa lang po ito. Mas marami pong asset ay mapo-frozen para maibalik ang pera ng tao sa kanila. Ito po ang aming pangako that the money of the people will be given back to the people. Meron din pong development, yung ICI at saka ang DPWH, magsusumite po ng ebidensya sa Ombudsman and magrekomenda sila na